Little Stevie was having a kid, met his wife at the hospital, held the girl in his arms and knew the child's life was incomparable to any of the bullshit he'd ever been through before. Vowed to protect the precious child from everything he'd endured. His pops was called Big Steve, who drank and got chaotic, beat the shit out of Stevie and touched his daughter so erotic. He tried to expel the demon from his pops cause he loved the man, hated the sickness, evil seemed to slink in from another man. Cause on the other hand, Big Steve could be so caring and gentle. Sometimes he'd tuck him in at night and sing him a song from a hymnal, but it was just a subliminal, asking for forgiveness, asking Stevie to forget the sins with dementia he lived in. How could he forget it? That shit played all the time in his mind. His life was like a movie stuck on rewind while he cried, and he never told anyone, he kept it pinned up inside. Until one day he had a thought when his own child was 9. Cleared his head quickly, lost innocence as deadly, he knew firsthand. His experience with daddy twisted as he grew a cursed man. But the thought became overwhelming, consuming every action, till one day he took her to the back room, and I don't need to get graphic. And later he tucked her in, so caring and gentle. Now little Stevie is Big Steve, and Big Steve is still little. And that's just 3 generations of the sickness. Think of what's more to come when little Steve's seeds grow up to have their own sons. This is Satan's carousel, the whole family gets to ride, to be infested with sickness and contagious as long as they survive.
Satan's carousel, God is going round through hell. When will we stop? We never know.
The cycles.
Satan's carousel, strapped our children with a spell. The ride won't stop, round and round we go.
The cycles. Johnny Solid was that cat that everybody dug, had mad back. As a matter of fact, the cat was glad to show love. Thoughtful and courteous, had a perpetual state of happiness. Smile on his face, his mental state was conceptual strategist. Until one day he felt approached the slight mark of depression. Didn't know how to cope, he'd never been taught that lesson. Now to be sad is natural and it naturally dissolves, but Johnny found a quicker way to get that pain resolved. Something man-made in his palm, it was round, white and small. He popped pills, numbing his brain to the pain, felt nothing at all. The quick cure did fight it, God bless the doctors that prescribed it. The new enlightenment, sedate the nation with a Vicodin. Johnny slept like a baby that night in a chemical shroud, but the next day he woke up in the cell of a dark gray cloud, in prison. But he knew where the key was kept, in that bottle of prescriptions. He swallowed what was left, relaxed in bed for half an hour, then powered with excitement, tablets devoured by his synapses, so thirsty for compliance. Johnny never felt better, shook off the stormy weather, hit the streets, but with passing weeks continued to get wetter. Fast forward 2 years when Johnny popped 10 a day. He had just one friend left, the others he sent away cause he couldn't function. He remained in a haze, and when he wasn't on the substance he was boring, dull and enraged. His last friend retired, he blurts, I love this life and this earth, just not the fake motherfuckers that don't appreciate my worth. But little did Johnny know he was caught up in the cycle. The pills were a false happiness like Christians get from the Bible, but they were the only source of happiness he could ever know, cause his brain had grown weak and couldn't maintain chemical flow. Pop pills will dwell in sadness, the only choice is brought, so he'll remain in the pattern until the cycle stops.
Satan's carousel, God's going round through hell. When will we stop? We never know.
The cycles.
Satan's carousel, strapped our children with a spell. The ride won't stop, round and round we go.
The cycles. If you know how the earth spins, then you know how a birth ends. Caught up in impure sin, cycles of worse sin. If granted a first spin, no way to cure them. Without recognition, they'll sure blend to every occurrence. Nothing can shirk them, I assure this. You know how the earth spins, then you know how a birth ends. Caught up in impure sin, cycles of worse sin. If granted a first spin, no way to cure them. Without recognition, they'll sure blend to every occurrence. Nothing can shirk them, I assure this.
Satan's carousel, God's going round through hell. When will we stop? We never know.
The cycles.
Satan's carousel, strapped our children with a spell. The ride won't stop, round and round we go.
The cycles.
Satan's carousel, God's going round through hell. When will we stop? We never know.
The cycles.